it was at a point where it looked like it was going to lose.
Okay.
The amount of money I had in the bank when I started in real estate, like $50,000.
Welcome to the So Much More Than Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Patti Matthew. This is a podcast where we talk about real estate and all the things it can do for us and our love, health, wealth, and time to enjoy them. I am here with Sandy McDuffie. Hello, Sandy.
Hi, nice for having me.
Sandy. So as I like to say, yeah. What's new with Sandy? What's crack-a-lackin', lady?
Oh gosh, all the things. Spring market, that's crack-a-lacking for sure.
Yeah, you can feel it. There's something in the air, huh?
Yes. Rain right now, but yeah.
How's this market? How are I'm hearing that the buyers in the market have more choices or a little bit more apprehensive.
They do.
You know, you're a listing agent. What's happening?
Yeah, both. I mean, I pulled the numbers today. Actually, I think we have a little less inventory than we had. A lot of buyers, but not a lot of offer writers with the amount of buyers. So I'm curious to what's going on out there, and I think maybe buyers agents are having a hard time getting their buyers to commit.
What do you think that is? Any insights?
I'm gonna go with lack of skills.
Okay,
but
it's good for you. You think I can get a buyer in front of you?
I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, Patti. Yeah, a lot of showings, but not a lot of offers, not a lot of feedback. And then, of course, you know, that always happens. You don't get any offers, and then you get 3 in at once. So.
Isn't that real estate? It's just like when you prospect.
Fun for my sellers.
You could prospect forever, get nothing, and all of a sudden the phone rings from people you haven't heard from in months or years, right?
Planting the seeds.
Yeah, how do you stay in it in moments like that? How do you keep your head in the game?
Oh gosh, consistency, just and self-love.
Yeah.
You gotta put your own oxygen mask on first.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Because you have had some great conversations over the years and the time you've been with us.
Yeah.
Could it be, it's interesting, I was speaking with somebody earlier, and a lot of the noise in the economy and the government, a lot of things happening that maybe have people on the fence, don't want to part with their money, uncertain about what the future looks like. Any thoughts? You hearing any of that from people?
Personal thoughts, so this is me. La 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 la.
Well, I was saying, I've been impacting people not pulling the trigger, and we don't have to get into the details.
Yeah.
But it feels very intense what's happening in the world, and the tariffs and the government and kind of the shock and awe that's happening.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of like unrest out there. People don't really know, and maybe that's why maybe I'm being really harsh on the buyers agents, but maybe that's why people aren't taking that jump. But I do think it's our job to guide them and help them make decisions. And the reason I say that is because I actually looked at with the amount of showings I had on my listing, and I went 3 miles wide to see what had closed in that 7-day period since we'd had all these showings, and nothing else had gone under contract. This is how I came to my conclusion.
Yeah, there were exits, other exits.
Why do we have so many showings and nothing in that 3-mile radius closed? Because there's more choice, but I don't think there's that much more choice.
I think a lot of it has to do with some of the fear and people, money. You have to make your dollar stretch a little bit further. Some people, and then depends how much you let into your mind, your mindset. There's a lot of bad information out there. There's a lot of propaganda out there, and that may be impacting what's going on. It's a great time for you in many ways to be a listing agent. Yes, you want to have buyers come to the table. However, you're primarily a listing agent.
I'm about 50-50. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we've got some things happening which are going to probably shift that towards doing more listings. A couple of irons we've got in the fire that's going to make me kind of listing heavy, but I am not mad to have the buyers right now because
you have the skill.
Well, a lot of the agents that I'm talking to that are predominantly listing agents are sitting on listings for a long time. So I'm like, I'm not mad.
It's interesting because in running the market center, what we've seen over the last few months is a lot of our listing agents, there were more, it was more listing sold than it was buy side heavy.
Mhm.
Now, traditionally, it's been more of buy side heavy we've seen in terms of closings. Just in the month of March, we saw for the first time in a few months that we have more buy side deals going through.
Yeah, that's my business the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the people who are skilled, it's out there.
Yeah, it's out there.
So tell me a little bit about, I want to shift and talk a little bit about, you've been in real estate for a while. Prior to real estate, you were also doing singing, right?
I was a professional singer for 23
Wow.
years.
Yes, well, real estate's been good to you.
It's been really good to me.
Why did you get into real estate from a career like that?
Because as being a singing gondolier at the Venetian was not going to put my kids through school.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're a single dad-ass mom.
I kind of wasn't at the time I got into real estate. It was my ex-husband thought I would be really good at real estate. So he nagged me so much that I got him all the books and told him to leave me alone. And if real estate was that great, then he could go ahead and do it himself. Then I had a hernia surgery and I couldn't sing for 3 weeks. And so during those 3 weeks, I went to real estate school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And no looking back. You jumped in full time? Were you a dual career agent?
I was dual career until I couldn't be dual career any longer. It was just a really tough time because I moved to Keller Williams that February. My marriage dissolved. What's the polite way to say it? My marriage had dissolved. And we had just moved into a new house in October before that February too. So that was October 2012. And yeah, then I moved to Keller Williams in 2013 in February, and June of that year, I think I ended up having to take a leap of faith. And we lived off savings.
Okay. Which is what most people are advised to do unless you have
Yeah, but I was mid-40s and that was all my savings.
Okay.
And I had 2 babies under 5. So it was really scary. I remember crying at the Doffie's desk one time when my only deal fell out of escrow.
And the Doffie is the director of first impressions.
Yeah.
At the front desk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my only deal fell out of escrow. But I couldn't afford to not to quit. I couldn't afford to not make it work.
Right.
Like I didn't have another option because
you burned the boats basically, right? You burned the boats.
I did.
Yeah.
My boats for $15 an hour was not gonna support me.
Because for people who don't know, you were doing the gondolier at the Venetian. That was on me. Yeah, that's. Yes, you were right on me. Yes. We're gonna have some fun today. Yeah.
I was doing the gondolier.
I was going to say, right, there's more marriage story. Yes, how far do we want to go into it? You kind of were.
Yeah, that's not.
But you left that behind, at least the security, and that's a brave thing to do.
It was a scary thing to do. Yeah, and it paid off. And it paid off. It paid off. It was slow. It was like I'm not like some kind of like overnight sensation that sold 100 homes in her first year.
Okay.
It was slow. I think I was probably better than average. I think in my first full-time year, I think I sold 12, which is probably better than average.
That's better than average.
Yeah, 12 years ago prices.
But also the standard of living was different too.
Yeah.
12 is a success even by today's standard.
Yeah. And but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, you sold 100 homes in the first year.
Well, that's a lot of people think that, you're a huge success now. You're, a 15, 20-year overnight success, and that's never really the reality.
No.
So what did you do? I don't want to spend too much time on it, but what did you do looking back now that really helped you through those dark times? Because there are dark times. The mindset in real estate is something that they don't teach you in real estate school. We know that. It's something that's experiential. What what did you do to get through that?
I think the environment that I was in, Keller Williams, just being in that environment, which is all about mindset and growth mindset, and gratitude, and it was all kind of things that I kind of knew about.
Yeah.
But it wasn't kind of, I wished when I'd been a performer, when I was trying to break into the West End and all that, some of the things that I know now, I wish I had then. I wish I'd been taught at drama school about mindset, about goal setting.
Yeah.
And everything happens when it's supposed to, right? These are skills I'm able to pass on to my kids.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. And do you find that they recite some things back to you at times? Does it come back to you?
Now and again.
Yeah.
Now and again. It's amazing. Yeah. Now and again. And they're like, do you want to be right, Mom, or do you want to be hell?
Oh, yeah. It's good.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's good.
But I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would write little words of affirmation, things of affirmation, stick it on my my kids' computers, or I'll text them something, and they don't say much, but it's powerful that it's getting through. I didn't get messaging like that when I was a child.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
And there's times when, I'm like my eldest will be like, I'm not really into all that gratitude stuff. And then he found an old gratitude journal he'd had when he was little, and we started reading it, and was like, he said, kind of writing this like once a year probably.
He said that it was his gratitude journal?
It was his. He'd had it for years and years and years, and we giggled as we went through it. Yeah. It was like he was upset about something when I told him to write his gratitudes, and he didn't want to do it, but we found the journal, and then we read his gratitudes, and we had a laugh, and then he wrote his gratitudes in it for that day, and he's like, I kind of do feel a little bit better. And I was like, good. I mean, it's not habit for him, but
you reshape your brain. Someday it may be. He's also has a long runway in front of him to grow, right? And it's interesting you say that with the gratitude, and it's so much with the environment that we're in, the books that are written, the things we do, they have nothing to do with real estate. Mm. It's 90% mindset. Yes, real estate is the catalyst. It's the foundational piece for us. There's so much more than just how to take a listing or how to execute a paperwork. It's something that people misunderstand about this business. And once you lean into it, embrace it, and put yourself in that environment, it slowly the light bulbs start going off. The gratitude thing is funny you mentioned that. When my kids were of a certain age and I was having a hard time because they were in those years where they disappear for a little bit, I had to really dig deep and find a way to appreciate them. So for 6 months every day, I would find one thing that I was grateful, even for them. Even if it was, they picked their dirty sock up off the floor, I would log it.
The toilet.
And then at Christmas, I put it in their stocking.
Nice.
So they both had 6 months worth of gratitude. It was cool. It was good for exercise for me, and it was great to pass it on. I think there's power in that.
That's nice.
So let's fast forward, right? Personal, professional, financial growth. Real estate is the land of that if you lean into it. You're one of the top agents in the city, and you've really invested. That's something that's been a theme with you, is from the very beginning, you've leaned into it. You were Buffini. You've always invested in coaching.
Yeah.
And looking now that we're going to talk a little bit about wealth and investments, but looking back now, what do you think of that? The choice that you made to invest in coaching, to invest in yourself?
Yeah. Well, when I did invest in the coaching, my business doubled my first year of coaching.
Now we hear that often.
Yeah.
What did you have a magic coach that said, here's business?
No, I think it was a combination of, I think it was my 3rd year going into my 4th year. And I just think it was a combination of, building my skill set, plus then coaching and being focused on what I wanted to do. And but it did double. It never doubled again after that, but it did increase, and continues to remain stable throughout whatever markets we've been in.
And as I had said before, you are a single badass mom. You have a lot on your plate. You have other people you're responsible for. There was kind of no other choice but to continue to elevate your business.
Yeah.
Right? And you're now focused very much on luxury. You've invested in that, right? You're part of a luxury community. You were just on a panel.
Yeah.
And what is that doing for you? Tell us a little bit about getting into that luxury space all these years later. And
yeah, I always wanted to play in that space. I just never knew how.
Okay.
I think, and I really wanted to increase my move my price point up this year. And so joining Luxury Pro, the Pro division, I'd earned in, but I get to pay to be a member of the Luxury division.
That's part of Keller Williams work for the audience, right?
Yeah, which is, but it's elevated. It's elevated coaching, if you like. It's elevated relationships because everybody else is in that space too. And so, and what you focus on expands, right? So I've been really focusing on, I had a YouTube channel, and we've been focused on looking at a luxury product out there in new construction. And then just playing this space has started to attract more luxury just into my world. Not that I'm just sitting there and manifesting, arming myself into luxury listings, but I think manifestation is all part of like what you focus on and what you surround yourself with, and then just letting go of expectation around that. I just wanted to be ready when it does happen, and I believe it will happen because we are ready.
Well, and the other thing with that is, being in there, you're putting yourself in the path of opportunities, what it sounds like, and building those relationships, and also understanding that language of luxury. And that doesn't, a lot of times when people think about investing in themselves, they think, if I do this, I'm going to get this immediately in return. It doesn't always work that way. It takes time.
It does. And I went in there with the intention of just learning and growing. And then, I do a lot of agent referral business. And so that's just a natural byproduct of getting to know those agents at a deeper level.
So not being tied to the outcome and having that faith go for it, and really coming in and being learning based, the results will come.
Yeah.
How do you measure the return on investment during the time that you're in it before the results start to come? Do you even?
That's a good question. Well, I mean,
how do you incrementally know the needle is moving?
Well, since joining Pro, we did get a referral, which for me was like, okay, this is going to afford me to be able to pay for Pro.
Got it.
For a year.
Got it. Smart, right?
And so I get to just play all in that environment now, and then I really love it. I enjoy it, and I enjoy what I'm learning. So I can't see me giving it up after a year now at this point.
Hey, that's your journey to have, right?
Yeah. I mean, one referral's great, but it's not an inexpensive space to play in, because there's a lot of travel, as you know. There's the conferences and all the events to go to. So
you're going every month, every other month?
I'm going.
A big commitment.
Yeah, it's a very big commitment. I'm traveling a lot this year. I'm not going to every single one.
Okay,
I'm going to about 6, and then we have the symposium on top of that, and of course I did family reunion. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of the events that I want to go to. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're maybe going to 12 different events this year.
That's what top producers typically do. They invest in themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And the Luxury Pro is a growing network. You get to meet some great people. And then you're also being, with Keller for so long, you've built a big part of your business. You're pretty well known in the network. Yeah. I mean, what percentage of your business do you get referrals from the Keller network?
It's been 60-40. Last year it was 40-60. We did
40.
We did a little bit more sphere of influence last year.
Yeah.
And this year so far it's about 50-50.
Okay.
Like sphere.
And when you say us, it's you. You're also your organization director of operations. Kara. How long has she been with you?
6 years. my wizard behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I do that right.
Yes, I remember when we first met. Kara's never going anywhere. She's your girl.
Mhm.
No, that's another thing you've invested in too, right? Because you said that human, and that's that next growth ceiling for people who have success in any business, but especially in this business is what I find is they get out of their natural ability, right? They break through the ceiling, and then they're there. Who else do I need in my world? Well, how do I make my world big enough that they want to stay in it? Something that you did, you and Kara are very in sync, in alignment. Not only did you invest with Kara, coaching for her, because you don't have to have all the answers. Mm-hmm. She's bright and smart. How do I level her up so she can help grow the business? You did that, I believe, a little over a year ago. Now you're in coaching together, right, to help elevate the business. What is that like?
Yeah, we're in partnership coaching.
So what is that like?
Yeah, we've only been doing it for about a month, and it's there's still a lot of back end stuff, but I realize like I've heard of lead measures and lag measures, and I know what they are, but I just don't know how to track them. And I love tracking. We love tracking. We love a good spreadsheet. We do. I don't like to create them, but like we track everything. Because I like to know my numbers. I like to be able to know what's paying off, what's not paying off. You know,
language of business,
where my referrals are coming from, how many referrals we're giving to our vendor partners, how many we're getting back. I like to know everything.
Were you such a savvy businesswoman when you first started with numbers? Because knowing your numbers, a lot of people don't. They turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
I'll be very frank. Most agents eat what they kill. They don't keep track of their numbers, and that's so how did you, that was part of your coaching and development over the years.
Yeah, and I like it, and I look at them every day, and I'm
so proud of you.
Little TL hearts beating like this. So now learning like what lead measures we get to look for.
Yeah.
So we can be proactive. Was it proactive instead of reactive?
In front of it, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of like, and it's a new space. So it's new vocabulary, it's new way of tracking. It's like it's gonna be really good. And now I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, what gap do we need to hit the goal this year? It's doable.
Yeah, and over the years, you've really, because you are so in your business and know the numbers and know your path, that was something is you have a dollar amount that you want to hit. How am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? I want to move up my price point. And it's going to come, and it's going to come like a landslide.
Yeah.
When it hits.
Yeah.
Right? It's having that, I keep calling it the faith over fear.
Yeah.
Right? Now, something that you've also done, because you've done very well, you have investments. You have a couple of rental properties, syndication.
Yeah.
You just did your first flip.
I did my first.
So in the wealth space, so let's talk a little bit about building your wealth and making that money. What is that like? How does that feel?
Amazing, because one of my investments just lost, because it's not all, rose-tinted glasses. And one of my investments, well, it may be back on the rails now, but it was at a point where it looked like it was going to lose.
Okay.
The amount of money I had in the bank when I started in real estate, like $50,000.
Okay.
I mean, and to lose $50,000 sucks.
Ouch.
And ouch. And although it may not be lost now,
there's still hope.
But there is still hope. There's a glimmer of hope. We got a Hail Mary at the last minute there. However, to be in that position where, like, gosh, this is not really going to change my world.
It's real.
Whereas $50,000 12 years ago would have completely changed my. I don't think I made $50,000 in my first year. I think I made 47. It was still more than I made rowing boats.
So much for rounding up, can't I say?
Yeah. Yeah. So
you'd be able to absorb that now, right? It just still doesn't feel.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. No, who likes losing money? No,
Sure. Yeah.
But now I run a business where it's like, okay, like how can we make that loss work for us through the tax structure?
So good.
I have great people around me who can help me with that and help me change my mindset. Well, look, we can write this off against this, and you won't have to pay as much on that because I'm going to make a really good profit on my first flip.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually not a horrible thing because we have this loss that we can write off against this. So
when you look at your balance sheet as you get more and more investments, that's how it flows. Not everything is going to be hitting it out of the park. But however, if you're mindful of your investments, it's going to ebb and flow. Some investments are going to carry the other investments, and the idea is that it balances itself out.
Yeah.
That's a growth opportunity, huh? That's a mindset.
Yeah.
Because we want to win on everything that we touch. It just doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, I don't think that is a space where this potential loss. I won't lose the whole 50.
Either way, you're daring greatly. You're stepping into the arena and you're doing things to not only have real estate in your home, you're playing in different spaces, not only in luxury and being learning based, but also in the financial aspect. You love doing the flip, right?
Yeah, I love
pretty fired up about the flip.
I was.
Is there any more in the future?
Yeah, I would definitely do it again, but it was a learning curve. It took a little bit longer because I wanted to do it my way. And I have a really amazing contractor who let me do it my way and then had to undo some of the things that I did.
But that's part of the process, learning.
Yeah, and it took a little bit longer because he's not used to investors having as big a hand as I wanted in it because it was like my baby. So it did take a little bit longer, and there were things, that I wanted to do design-wise that he was like,
came out beautiful.
It really did.
Yeah.
It really did. But I did learn that I turned into a seller. I turned...
Emotion?
I was so emotional that I almost never got it sold. I had to, I spoke to a couple of my colleagues here that I respect, and I spoke to a broker, and I was like, I really need a good agent because I'm not representing.
I need somebody to manage me.
Yes. I think maybe next time I won't be as emotionally invested, hopefully. But I did not represent myself very well. I'm much better taking care of my clients, so I can be fierce, but
it sounds like an opportunity for growth.
Yeah, I couldn't see reason for myself. I was arguing over this deal over $3,000. And I know in my head, I would have been like, this is seller. Do you really want to
some water at somebody's
right? Yeah. Do you really want to lose this over $3,000? And he's like, yeah, but yeah.
So the best thing to do is get another one under your belt.
Yes.
So you don't get two in your head, right?
Yes.
Pretty exciting. So tell me a little bit about the what are you doing for fitness these days?
Oh well,
Now I'm dying to know.
Well, no, just because but most people do not know that I have neuropathy and nerve damage, and I can't feel my leg from the knee down. So it's kind of like ongoing fitness rehab, and I work out twice a week with a trainer at a Zoom.
Are you on the bike too? You do the bike?
I hike.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were on the, I thought you had the Peloton for some reason.
No.
Okay.
I don't have that. I do have a stationary bike at home.
Okay. I heard that
somewhat on it.
Okay.
It's a close hanger.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I have one of those. Yeah, I get it.
It's a clothes hanger. It sits in a corner of my office. It's not even plugged in right now. So yeah, I work out with her twice a month, working on stability and strength and yeah.
Good.
And now walking my dogs, my poor dogs.
My poor dogs. Those are beautiful dogs.
It's been too cold. Mama doesn't like to go out when it's cold.
It's changing.
And hiking. That's what I...
Okay.
That's what I...
How about wellness?
wellness, or mental wellness, or
Whatever, mental, whatever you want to share. Food wellness,
food wellness. I don't eat terribly, but I have teenage boys who do eat terribly.
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
It is. One who doesn't want to eat at all right now, and the other one who works in a pizza place. So
He doesn't want to eat at all. That's a younger one, like Cameron. Connor. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the older one who works in a pizzeria, so he eats pizza like nights a week.
Funny story, because my younger son worked at Grimaldi's for a while, and so I would pick him up, and he would be able to get a small pizza or a cheesecake or a salad. So he'd say, "Mom, what do you want?" I'd get one of those pizzas. So I'd go and pick him up, and we drive home on the Summerlin Parkway with the windows rolling down, and we eat pepperoni pizza. It's gonna be one of my favorite memories. Yeah, hot pepperoni pizza. So it goes quick.
Yeah.
How are you doing with motherhood and all of that, and the boys getting older? I mean, you and I had some pretty deep conversations. How's things going?
Yeah, good.
Yeah?
Like, I just grab what moments I can with them now, and just this week, they are not eating healthily, so just this week, I've been like, okay, I am gonna get up and start, like, making breakfast. When I say making breakfast, I mean, I'll make them a protein shake.
Hey, that's okay. It's better than a pie tart if you can do it, right?
Let's just say that. Or some eggs or something. Just, so I know they're at least eating some protein.
Yeah.
That's my thing with them. They need to get more protein.
Has it been hard as they get older? When they're little, they need us a lot more. And as, working moms, it can be a lot. And how are you managing your way through that? Like you said, I get the moments I can, right? That's and therapy.
Lots of therapy. Yeah. Yes, because I don't want to be dependent on them.
Yeah. For your happiness and future. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, because they've got to go fly and do their thing. You're gonna make me cry. They've got to go fly and do their thing, and I don't want to hold them back, and it's hard. Yeah, I don't. Karen went to California for spring break, and somebody was like, "You let him drive to California," and I'm like, "I love it, but I mean, I have to let him spread his wings, and go do his thing, and just trust that I did my thing well enough that he'll be a sensible boy."
You're doing a great job, Mom. You've done a great job, and continue. It changes. I know. I can feel it, because we've had many deep conversations about our kids, and especially with boys, they don't always see things the way we see them. It's hard to let go as a parent.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to food and just things around the house, it's not always easy.
Yeah.
However, there's a different chapter for us.
Yeah.
As they grow.
Yeah.
What else is happening? What's next for Sandy? What does the future look like? Work, business, personal.
Oh gosh. Like I said, a lot of travel this year for work. A couple of fun trips planned, one for my birthday.
Where you go?
I'm going to stay on a working vineyard in Sacramento, near Sacramento. Like,
you're gonna be out there picking grapes and stuff.
I know, like I Love Lucy. Maybe I'll squash some grapes.
Wow, when is your birthday? When is this happening?
End of May, middle of May.
Oh, how did you come to that? How did you
third home? It's his third home.
Oh, okay, in the luxury space, right? Yeah, the luxury pro. Okay.
Yeah. So
awesome.
We have a big house with a pool in the middle of a working vineyard.
Who's we?
Some girlfriends. It's a girlfriend trip.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then July, Mexico with the kids.
Yeah.
And then in between that, a lot of fun travel. Toronto, Jackson Hole. That's for work.
That's the luxury pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miami.
You been to Jackson Hole?
No.
So beautiful.
No.
When is that?
That one. July.
Oh, perfect. Well, I was there last year in July.
Oh, yeah. June or July. And then Toronto. I don't know which one. One's June, one's July.
Yeah. Either way, get out of this heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we've got, we've been working with a coach on branding. So we're updating all our branding.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm super excited about that.
What is it? Just a new look and feel?
an elevated look and feel, not like taking. Well, I mean, we're not changing our logo or anything like that because it's quite distinct. It's me.
That's something. Remind me of something.
Yeah, so we're going to change the. Oh, I know where you're going to go with this. So we're working on the branding, elevating that, and making everything a little bit more cohesive. And I have a social media manager, who is my VA from the Philippines. So
been with you for a while, right?
She's been with me for 3 or 4 years as well. Like, everybody's been with me a long time.
Yeah, the human aspect, the leverage piece of it that we touched upon earlier. You've had people in your world around you for a long time. When you get in, you invest in them, and that helps. You're not turning and burning and going through people. Mm-hmm. When they get into Sandy's world,
well, it took me 3 assistants, I think, to find Kara.
But that is a process that a lot of people, everybody think, I'll do it myself, I'm a solo agent. That leverage piece is very challenging for people. And they don't realize it is a process. What I find is people, when they start entertaining the idea of hiring somebody, oftentimes in the beginning, they'll do it out of pain. Yeah. Right? And that's the mistake that needs to be made. That's part of the experiential process of learning how to have great people in your world, right? Yeah. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Oh, yeah.
So my hat's off to you, because what happens is that first time that if it doesn't work out, people will retreat, and I'll do it myself, right? We don't want to deal with people, and then something creeps back up, and the second time we do it, and the third. And so you found the lid for your pot, so to speak, in Kara.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have any kind of semblance of a life if I didn't have her.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. The human capital, the people side of it is everything that we do.
Yeah.
But it leads me to my Sandy. What do people know? People realize that you weren't born in England?
No, they don't.
They don't. You knew that's where I was going to go?
I did know.
I'm so fascinated with that. So tell us.
I was born in New York.
I know, my girl.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
My Brooklyn sister from another mister.
Whoppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's like, don't do that, Mom. Yeah.
She's like, it's out there.
It's out there now. I was born in Brooklyn, but I was raised in the UK since I was like 4 years old.
So you did have a little bit of small memory of Brooklyn.
Yeah, not really, but family there. So I visited, and now I've been here in Vegas now 20 years.
Wow.
So yeah,
Vegas is home.
Yeah. Well, I don't have much of an English accent anymore, so I need to.
Who said that? People in England, your English friends?
Oh, they always say that I sound like an American, but no, some Americans recently is like, where are you from? It's like, they can't figure it out.
Okay.
I could teach you to speak English. Do you want to learn to speak English?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Hit it.
Say air.
Air.
Say hair.
Hair.
Say lair.
Lair.
Now put it all together.
Ehela.
Ehela, Patti. How are you?
It's kind of like when I went to Greece and the guy was trying to teach me how to say thank you. And he did the same thing.
Canis.
Pardon?
Isn't it canis?
No, it's Efregado.
Oh, gosh. Sorry.
He had a foot and a picture, and I just couldn't get it. Debbie said, what's wrong with you? And I said, I don't know. It's just not connecting. So
now we're using...
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I tell people I speak Brooklynese because my parents are hardcore Brooklyn people.
Right.
And my dad says things like toiki and turlet.
Goyles.
Yeah.
Goyles.
Yeah. So I speak a little Brooklynese, but English, I have a way to go. Yeah.
Well, now you know.
Well, thank you so much. So you have 10 extra hours in a week. How are you spending it?
Sleeping.
Oh, yes. I like it. You're the first person I've asked that question who was very distinct, and I respect it.
Sleeping. I don't know if I would actually sleep, but
that would be your intention.
I would if my kids would deign to grace me with their presence, then I would spend 10 extra hours a week with my.
I get it.
Yeah, but they probably won't. So
no, they want to know what's for dinner and. Yeah, simple, basic things. But, it'll come back. If it makes you feel any better, my 23-year-old went through that. He's still a boy and doesn't communicate like we do as women. However, now that he's 23, the communication is different. He's come back a little bit. He's not so distant. So there's hope on the horizon that you'll get those 10 hours with him.
Yes.
What have we not spoken about that we should speak about?
I don't know. I think we pretty much covered it all. I think the folks know more than they need to.
I love it, and I adore you, and I'm always
too many opinions.
Always. Well, I wish we had more time because I want to lean into that because I know we have great conversations, and like I said, I adore you and appreciate your giving me some of your time today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And then if somebody wanted to get in touch with Sandy McDuffie, where would they find you? How would they do that?
They would call me.
How and what's that number?
702-308-7627 because I do always answer my phone.
Okay.
So call me or text me unless you're an investor who wants me to find you a flip and then don't text.
And write offers ad nauseum, right? Lowball offers.
Don't text me to ask me if I have any fixer-uppers because if I do, I'm buying them myself.
She's the investor. She's the one to call, right? If you have a property that needs some love and is a good opportunity, call Sandy McDuffie.
702-308-7627. My kids learned that. People.
Oh.
They always knew their phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they'd hear me say it in the car.
Or how about when they're selling and if my kids are in the back of the car, don't you say a word, you be quiet. That look, right? That tone.
The mom look.
It's nothing McDonald's couldn't fix.
I call it parent Tourette's. Like, shh.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Parent Tourette's, yeah. Just go into shut up mode. Okay. Well, appreciate you.